So the Church of Thessaly recently celebrated Antisteria, and about 2 hours before the festival officially began, we were visited by a couple of Jehovah's Witnesses. Unbeknownst to them, they had stumbled upon a house filled with pagans. Now, this didn't go the way I'd originally thought it would go, and that may have something to do with the fact that they were way outnumbered, but it ended with them taking our literature. This conversation probably lasted a good hour before they left, but it was a good conversation. During this conversation, I found myself referencing back to On the Gods and the World by Celestius, although they weren't grasping what I was saying. I also realized that I have been referencing a lot of the work of Celestius on the Gods and the World, and so I decided I would start a video series covering this work completely. But before we continue, I want to remind everyone here that there is a public Discord server open to everyone. You can find the link in the description below, along with some others. Now, let's get into it. All right, so here's part of the conversation I just mentioned that we were able to record during that brief encounter. Because it's founded on ancient philosophy. Socrates, Plato, Iamblichus, Proclus, Plotinus, all of those have played a part in where we're at.
Okay. Now, what can I, now I'm going to ask you guys, because again, I believe, I like to know, okay, so what is your faith based upon? Like, what God y'all pray to? We pray to Jehovah, what
multiple polytheistic.
So there's more than one, like the
Yes,
sun, the
we're-
moon,
We are Zeus, Hermes, Ares, Poseidon,
12 Olympians.
Demeter,
Okay.
Persephone. The list goes on. The 12 main Olympians.
To make this make sense a little bit better, the one, and speaking in a philosophical sense, the one created everything, but the one is so far removed from us that we are incapable of comprehending and understanding.
Does the one have a name?
No, the one is, we are incapable of understanding or comprehending the one because we're so far removed.
The one is all and all is one.
Yes. Right? The one emanates outwards, transcends everything. Right? And also emanates existence. But it's not good, it's not evil, it's absent.
It's the main thing is just to create. So like to think about it as like how a black hole has so much gravity it destroys everything that it just takes in.
Okay.
Well, the one technically, in a sense, would be a white hole. It's just programmed to create, and that's where everything in the universe comes from. But it's there and not there at the same time
Good and
because there's
evil.
no.
Go ahead.
Good and evil.
It just
Creates
creates.
good.
It
It
just
just
creates.
creates.
Yeah.
There's
Just
no
creates.
sense of what it's creating. It's just spewing out.
The
And
human
if it can-
experience is what can corrupt the soul, but everything that comes from
Everything emanates.
everything that comes from
Everything
the
emanates
creator
from
is good.
Basically
Okay.
neutral, in a sense.
what?
Neutral in a
Neutral.
sense.
Not good,
Okay.
not
Good meaning
It's-
necessary. Good not meaning.
The one is good. Philosophically, in the past, has been referred to as the one, the good, or along those names. Right? Everything emanated from that, right? Including the gods, angels, daemons, and not demons, daemons. Daemon, the ancient Greek term daemon, just refers to a spirit. That the word demon comes from the word daemon and has its own connotations that was never the intention. All right, because the spirits that make up the world and everything, they play their part. They have a role in everything. It's not good, it's not evil. Their role in the universe may not be pleasant to us, but it's still necessary. Okay. But evil doesn't arise until us. It's our soul that becomes inverted when we're not aligned. Okay, so moving on. I have also been pulling my old blog posts in reference to On the Gods and the World from my first blog, Echoes from Eternity, and republishing them on the new platform. So if you want, you can also read those along with the videos. You can find it all over at echoesfromthetemple.com. Now these videos probably won't be long as the chapters are short, but there is a lot to unpack in each of them. The upside is I'm going to attempt to push them out quickly. Now, we should understand that Celestius was a student of Odysseus, who was a student of the divine Iamblichus. His work on the gods in the world, sometimes called On the Gods in the Cosmos, is not a large work, but packs a lot between the pages. I believe that understanding this work will give you a framework and foundation to a sincere spiritual practice within Hellenism. So in the first chapter, we see the title, What the Prerequisites Are, which an auditor concerning the gods ought to possess, and of common conceptions. Now, I'm not going to read the chapters as there are other channels that have done this over and over again, but rather I want to explain the content in a way that makes it understandable to the modern reader. Now we see in the title for chapter 1 the word prerequisites for an auditor. This becomes clear when you begin reading the chapter and see that auditor is referring to someone who is willing to learn, and therefore we can discern that the auditor of the gods is a student of the gods or of religion. Celestius tells us that it is better for the student of the gods to be educated on the gods from their early childhood, rather than being burdened throughout their early childhood with superstitions or foolish beliefs. I think it is safe to assume that he is referring to Christianity here, but we can also apply this to our modern world. Let me explain. If we look at people who convert to Hellenism, or any form of paganism for that matter, they normally tend to come from some form of Christian background. This is normally accompanied by some form of trauma, and the severity of this trauma tends to depend on how devoutly Christian their upbringing was. This tends to stay with people for a long time, and hell, some people never get over it. I know it took me years to finally leave that baggage behind. This really holds people back from truly adopting a polytheist mindset. This is why I made the comment in my last video that people tend to attach themselves to worship or to pray to a single deity, but I digress. This differs from people who are brought up with an education on the gods and philosophy. These people are able to understand the gods and the purpose of religion at an early age, foregoing the constant threat of eternal damnation. It is also important for the individual to be a good student, as they will be required to grasp onto and understand the deeper and hidden context of the material. Unlike so many today that take the material at face value, this is seen a lot with people trying to view the myths as historical facts, similar to how people view the Christian Bible today. The student will need good judgment so they can comprehend the different philosophical, ethical, and moral teachings they encounter in their studies. This will greatly build on the student's foundation and comprehension of the beliefs, practices, and fundamental philosophies within the different traditions. Good judgment will also allow the student to navigate their life lessons as they interact with the people they will encounter throughout their daily lives. All of this comes back around to starting at an early age. By doing so, it will be easier for the student to navigate the world. It will allow the student the ability to cultivate their life with virtue rather than vice. This is important because what is good for the soul is not always the same as what appears good for the body. It is also highly important that the student learn the historical and cultural context in which the various gods and religious beliefs originated. This will give the beliefs context and help to further understand why it came to be. They can appreciate the complexities and diversity of the religious thoughts and practices. The student, having started at an early age, will be able to analyze the different religious teachings, mythologies, and rituals to gain a deeper understanding and find the hidden truths within. It is extremely important that the student of the gods agree with certain truths that are common knowledge, or at least should be common knowledge, as I have met some people who would argue this next topic. The gods are good and free of change. Understand that if anything that is changed for the worse will become depraved, and if it becomes better, then it must have been evil to start. Although, throughout the entire chapter, the focus has been on the student beginning at an early age, it is not impossible to begin later in life. I began my journey when I was 14, and I had a lot to overcome, but I've also met people who began way later in life and managed to do great. Recognize that humans are creatures of habits, and as adults, we have set our habits in place.
these habits will be far more difficult to overcome the longer into adulthood we go as time passes. Alright, this concludes chapter 1, and I sincerely hope you've gained something from it, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, as I will be pushing more of these out soon. May the gods bless you.